Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning if you happen to be in the west of Australia. Welcome to the weekly Purple Penny coin news video. My name's Mark. My wife and I, Catherine, run the Purple Penny, a coin shop in Adelaide, South Australia. This week has been last week, I should say, has been it was a busy week in the shop. Busy in terms of sales, but especially busy in terms of buying. We bought a couple of very big collections last week. Well, not big collections, but I guess high value collections. Actually, it was a good week. It was a pleasant week. We had a bunch of nice people in here, and seeing nice people in the shop makes the week easy. Actually, it's not a difficult job when we have nice people in here. So thank you to those people who came in here last week, and everyone that we spoke to on the phone, and of course everyone who contacts us through the internet. So what's been going on in coin world this week? There's been a little bit. In fact, there's been enough that I've been taking notes this week, and so that I made my job of setting up this video a bit easier today. I guess first things first, the Mint has delayed the baby mint and proof sets until February. Not exactly sure of the reason why. There was a generic all-purpose email sent out early last week just saying that they'd be delayed until the first week of February. As far as I'm aware, the Tamworth 50-cent coins will still be available on release day, December the 2nd, which is that would be next week now. We don't have any of the inventory for that yet, so I'm not sure if the coins will actually be available, but we will find out. So just before we jump into the next item, let's say hello to a few people. Hello Greg and Greg, Glennis, Kirsty, Rob, John, Robert, Alex, Alison, Brett, another John, and Gary Tate and Ian Price. Congratulations to Alex, long time viewer, sometime shop visitor. I believe he found his first wavy baseline 20 cent in the last week or two. Congratulations. It's a stupendously difficult coin to find. Well done, mate. Now let's just jump on to the news here. There was an interesting story in the paper over the weekend that kind of tails on from the story last week from the Treasury in the UK talking about availability of notes. There was a story in the paper yesterday that was grabbed from the Reserve Bank talking about the number of notes that are in circulation. The number of notes in circulation has gone up 20% since the pandemic started at the beginning of last year, and at the moment 94% of the notes in circulation are $50 notes and $100 notes. And it was interesting to listen to the Reserve Bank explain why they believe that was the case. Firstly, people are using cash as a store of value now. Now, why are they doing that? Why aren't they putting it in the bank? The answer is, of course, that bank interest is very low or non-existent, so you're not really losing out by sticking your $1,000 under the mattress. There is an element of keeping your money safe, I guess, by keeping it in cash. We'd all know well and truly that there's a lot of scams and frauds going around, and perhaps there's people out there who believe that if you keep your cash physical, then the chances of being caught by those scams are lessened. There was also this idea that people were using cash to conduct private purchases, or to help out family and friends, and it wasn't legally. From what I understood that the RBA was trying to get across, they weren't saying that people were trying to avoid the tax system or anything. It's just things, purchases that they'd like to keep away from friends and family, or money that they want to give to other friends and family, and perhaps the cash is the best way of doing that. But the biggest reason that the RBA had to suggest was people conducting business on the cash economy, and that avoids obviously income tax and GST, and also organised crime, which was similar to what we mentioned last week about organised crime using cash as a way of transporting value and avoiding electronic transactions and things like that. But it is interesting that the number of notes in circulation has gone up 20% since the start of the pandemic. It's a very interesting thing. I thought, I don't usually talk about what we buy in the shop, but we had two big purchases last week and they were both pretty remarkable. First was a nice little roll collection. It included the Big Daddy, which is the 2012 Red Poppy roll in the green Armour Guard paper. That's only the second one of those that we have bought here in the shop. There was also a security roll of 2013 Coronations, a 2014 Green Dove roll, and a 2015 Orange Larks roll. Now they all came from a collector that had bought them at release price or very close to face value back in the day, a local collector, and not surprisingly they sold very quickly through the website and to some regulars that come in here in the shop. They're always very desirable items. The other collection that came in contained a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't seen before, and I will freely confess to the idea that I don't really know anything about kookaburras, 1 ounce kookaburras and things like that. It's not a series that I have got into, but it was a South African gentleman from the west of South Australia, the western parts of South Australia, and he was a hardcore kookaburra collector from about 1992 to 2002, and he had virtually a complete collection of releases, including all the obscure privy marks and things like that in the 1 and 2 ounce kookaburras, including a bunch that I hadn't seen before. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's sort of these sorts of things here. This is a 2 ounce silver kookaburra, 999 silver, with the 20th year of the 40-hour famine privy mark. So there's some pretty obscure privy marks on some of this sort of stuff, and they come in different sorts of packaging that I hadn't seen before. So this is a 2 ounce kookaburra in a presentation set with a little ingot. Haven't seen that set before. And then there was quite a few 2 ounce 4 coin sets. And this is an interesting 2 and 1 ounce set in proof that I hadn't seen before either. So, a whole bunch of silver kookaburras, 1 and 2 ounces. I guess if you are missing any from 1992 through to 2002, any of the weird privies and things like that, it's probably worth a message to us, and just so we can check through and see if there's anything in there that could help you fill out your collection. Anyway, great collections, in stupendously good condition. The people who brought them in were lovely, and they make running this shop easy when people are like that. So thank you to those two people. A couple of things in the coin news this week. The first one was an interesting one because it made the mainstream media. There was an armoured car that I think had an accident on a freeway in California and broke open, and cash spilled out of it. And there was all sorts of videos of people collecting the money on the side of the road. Now, of course, that isn't their money. It's the security company's money, and the police made that fairly clear to people that it wasn't their money, despite the fact that there was a whole bunch of social media posts of people holding fistfuls of cash. One story I read, I had a bit of a laugh because the police, when they arrived, they arrested a couple who had in possession a large amount of money in their possession, and the reason they were still there is because they'd locked themselves out of their car. So they'd stopped their car to collect the money and forgotten to take their keys out and locked themselves out of their car, couldn't get away, and were arrested by the police. Quite an amusing story there. I'm going to guess that the security company is not going to get much of that money back. The people who stole it will probably want to be careful, because no doubt there were security cameras recording car registration numbers and stuff. But anyway, funny story. The next one is another archaeological find. This one was in Germany, in a town called Augsburg, which I believe was originally founded as a Roman fort. An archaeological dig there has found about 5,500 silver Roman coins in a riverbed, so they believed that the coins were buried for safekeeping. And back in the day, people buried coins a lot. Perhaps there was a barbarian invasion. Perhaps perhaps someone who was very wealthy was leaving and planning on coming back. Anyway, whoever buried this never came back to get it. A river has changed course and has caused the burial to be disturbed, and an archaeological dig has dug these coins up. So there's 5,500 silver denarii, which are the multiple of denarius, tiny little silver coins that weigh about 3 grams each. And it's a stupendously large amount of money for back then. There was more than 15 kilos of them, and they ranged in date from 54 AD to about 200 AD, so about 150 years worth of coins, which sort of dates the burial to perhaps about 220 or so. And interestingly, there were a couple of coins in there from an emperor that only served for about 6 weeks before he was murdered, and they're very scarce coins indeed. So pretty significant find. I don't know if those sorts of coins get onto the market or anything like that, or if a museum takes possession of them, but it'd be interesting to know if any of those do hit the market. Now, topic of the week this week was something that came about from a number of phone discussions that Catherine and I have had with people, and usually the conversation goes along the lines of hi, my father, my mother, my grandfather, my uncle has passed away and they've left me a coin collection. What should I do with it? And it's a pretty common question, and if you don't need to sort of hang around the social media coin collecting groups to see it asked there as well. And there's some fairly good advice that we give to people that is not commercially focused. So it's not all about us making a profit here. We want people to do the right things with their collections and treat them the right way. To us, that's always our first priority. So what do you do if you inherit a coin collection? So the first decision is whether you're going to keep it or move it on. Now, why would you want to keep it? You might want to keep it because it holds sentimental value to you. Perhaps it's a father or a mother or a grandfather that you worked with them to help build that collection when you were smaller. It may mean something to you. And perhaps seeing the coin collection gets you excited about the hobby, and it's a hobby that you want to take up yourself. So you may well want to keep it. You may well want to keep it and pass it on to your children. I guess the challenge around keeping it then is evaluating what condition it's in and what you need to do with it from there. And that means, perhaps organising it, perhaps rehousing it, because many collections from the 60s and 70s and 80s are stored in PVC and other forms of less optimal packaging, and leaving it in that condition can sometimes ruin the collection. And I guess there's also an idea of organising it, because I would say that probably 90% of the collections, air quotes, that we get in here aren't collections at all. They're hoards. They're usually tins full of stuff or boxes full of stuff, and they're what we call leftover money. And they're money that's left over from holidays, or money that's left over from when we went from pounds, shillings and pence to dollars and cents. And it's not really a collection, it's just a hoard of stuff. And often the condition that is in is poor. And if you do decide to keep it, then it is worth rehousing it in economical fashion. And we usually recommend that you pull it all out of tins and old PVC bags and bits of paper and Glad wrap and alfoil, and we've seen coins wrapped up in everything, and just look at rehoming it into polythene bags, so money bags that you get from the bank, or food storage bags, isolating out the coins that have cancer and things like that. Maybe doing a bit of organisation, putting all the decimal coins together, all the pre-decimal coins together, separating the silver from the bronze, all that sort of stuff. So, there's some basic things that you can do to make things a bit better and to sort of preserve it longer term, but certainly isolating coins that have verdigris and taking things out of PVC are the two best things that you can do. If it's an actual coin collection and, you know, pennies and that are sorted into dates and florin collections and things like that, then it is worth, and you're going to keep it, it is worth spending money rehoming it. And we always are happy to give people advice on how to rehome a coin collection safely. And that usually means looking at staple 2x2s, polypropylene album pages, archival safe albums, perhaps safe flips and things like that. And, you know, rehoming things. And the goal of coin storage is that the coins go into the storage in the same condition that they come out. That's all you want from your storage. So that can cost a bit of money. You know, it might cost, you know, let me do some maths in my head here. It might cost it might cost sort of $80 or so to house 200 coins in an album, in holders, in pages. But, you know, $80 isn't a whole lot of money when, you know, you've got a coin collection that's worth $5,000 or $10,000. So, you know, it is well worth rehoming things, perhaps taking the coins into a dealer or going to your local coin club or numismatic society and just having them look at the storage that they're in now and getting some recommendations on what you should move it into. Let's have a look at a couple of comments here. Kelly's just talking about a relative who kept an inherited collection. Look, Kelly, I'm dreadfully sorry that it happened to you, but unfortunately, where there are things of value involved, even perceived value, sometimes some people put money before relationships and things like that, which kind of boggles my mind because it's just stuff, really. Coins are just stuff. You can always get more stuff. You can't get another family. So I'm sorry to hear that you've been through that. And Wayne says that his boy Mike asked me to save his collection for his inheritance. Wayne, I've seen some of your collection. I'm not surprised. You could leave it to me if you wanted to. I'd be happy to have some of it. Thank you very much. And Aaron says Glad Wrap. Aaron, we see a lot of stuff wrapped up in Glad Wrap. You would be amazed how much stuff we see wrapped up in Glad Wrap. Glad Wrap and alfoil and tissues and baking paper and just, you know, 1,000 coins in 1,000 separate plastic bags. So, you know, it's mind-boggling what people do. Probably the worst one that I've seen was a complete penny, half penny, shilling, florin, sixpence and threepence set, like complete apart from the 1930, but everything else was there, and it was all glued to cardboard. The whole lot was glued to cardboard, and it had been glued there a long time ago as well. So that's probably the worst that I've seen. Right, I guess when you do inherit a collection, just back onto the topic at hand, everyone wants to know what it's worth, and, you know, we get that question a lot. I've inherited something, I want a valuation. Our first question is always, why do you want a valuation? Almost always people want a valuation because they want to sell it. So taking a collection to a coin dealer and, you know, wanting to sell it shouldn't cost you anything. And it doesn't with us. You can, if you want to sell a coin collection, you bring it in here, we'll look through it, we'll make you an offer, and if you take it, we'll pay you. If not, you go away. If you want a valuation for other reasons, and that might be for probate or legal reasons, or for family, to solve family disputes and things like that, if you want a written valuation from a coin dealer, then it's not unreasonable to expect to get charged for that. And the simple reason is that we only have a limited amount of time to do things in here, and if we spent the number of people that want a free commercial valuation, that would chew up a significant amount of our time during the week, and that's time where we're not getting on with the business of running this shop. And most coin dealers will be the same, and we do charge for written valuations. That being said, you know, if you have got a coin collection and you want to just look through it with someone and have them point out things of interest in it, we will always spend time with people doing that with them. Just pop through it with them, point out things that are more valuable, and you know, just give them some information. I enjoy doing it, Catherine enjoys doing it, and it's something that we will always do for people. Carol asks, what if a valuation is for insurance purposes? They want written valuations and we charge for that. That takes a significant amount of time. Catherine and I spent 14 hours doing a valuation on one collection at one point. So that's 14 hours of real time going through a collection, itemising it and coming up with a commercial valuation at the end. It's not reasonable to expect to get that for free. Now, let's say that you're deciding not to keep it, the collection, and some people decide not to keep it. It's of no interest to them. There's no sentimental value, or they just want the money. There are a number of ways that you can sell collections, and full disclosure first. Obviously, you can bring it to a coin dealer, and we'll make you an offer on it, and and then the hassle is gone. It's just one fell swoop, and the collection is gone. Obviously, we make a profit. We need to make a profit to keep running the shop and pay our wages and things like that. So you're not going to get full commercial value for it. What we do is we take all the risk. Most collections include a number of things that are easy to sell, and then a whole bunch of stuff that's hard to sell. And we're stuck with that, and we have to do all the work mailing it and listing it and photographing it and things like that. Obviously, other ways of selling it these days with the circular economy, you can sell things yourself, and you can sell things on eBay. You can pop it into a coin auction. You can sell it through Facebook Marketplace. You can sell it on Gumtree. You can take it down the pub and sell it that way. Now, the advantages of selling it that way is there's no middleman. There's no one in the middle trying to, take a slice of the pie, unless you're selling through auction or eBay, because, of course, that isn't free. eBay charge a commission, which is about 14 or 15%. Most online auction houses will charge a seller's premium, and that means that they'll charge you a percentage of the sale price, and then they'll charge a buyer's premium as well, which means that they charge the buyer a percentage of the selling price. So they get their cut as well. And then, of course, you could just sell it yourself through social media or Gumtree. Now, what's the challenges with that? The challenges with that are that you have to deal with all the postage, you have to deal with crazy offers from people, you have to deal with making sure that things get delivered, things get paid, that you send people the right stuff. But there's no denying, if you're willing to put the work in that way, you will realise more for your collection than selling it through a third party. And when I mean work, I don't just mean the packaging and the mailing and the payments. I mean identifying what's in it, grading it properly, and making sure you're selling things for the right amount. The downside is, of course, is that you'll find, and lots of people find this, is that the easy stuff is easy to sell. The easy stuff is easy to sell. It sells itself. But most collections comprise a lot of stuff that is difficult to sell, that takes a long time to sell. It doesn't move quickly because there's a lot of it about. So you have to go into it with your eyes open if you are going to sell this stuff yourself. If you've got the time and you've got the interest and you want to learn something, then by all means sell it yourself. If you want it gone quickly, then go to the auction. Even the auctions can be slow because some auction houses only have auctions very infrequently. Go to the auction house, take it to a dealer. I guess make contact with someone on Facebook who'd buy the whole collection, but of course, there's possible negatives doing it that way. But there are ways of getting rid of your collection and realising the money for it. And the last point here is the question that we always get asked. If I keep it, is the value going to go up? And depending on my mood, there's two answers to that question. One is that, sorry, I don't know because my crystal ball's broken today. And the other one is it's certainly going to go up or go down or stay the same, because you just don't know. I'll say fairly confidently that most collections will not go up in value over time, because most collections aren't collections, they're just hoards of stuff. They'll probably go up or down with the silver price or the gold price, but they're not going to become harder to find or scarcer or anything like that. So my answer to that is most collections, you may as well take the money now and move on with your life, rather than perhaps sitting on it for 10 years and having to store it and move it whenever you do and all that sort of stuff. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it now. Right, have a look at some more comments here. Gary says, valuation, sell them a book. Yeah, look, Gary, I like the Renix book, but the values in there are all over the place, and you know, you only have to spend about 14 seconds in our shop to see what we're selling things for and how that compares with the Renix book. They generally, there's very little correlation there. But at least the book gives people an idea of what's harder to find and what isn't, so I don't mind that route. I think sold results at auction or eBay are probably the best ways of valuing things at the moment. Peter says auction houses are cutting back due to lack of stock, and I hadn't heard that, Peter. Thank you for that comment, but I suspect that's because most people are choosing to sell a lot of this stuff themselves because it is becoming easier and easier. There's a lot of information out there on the internet to allow you to identify things and come up with reasonable commercial values for them. And there are a lot of people operating in the black economy that are supposedly collectors on social media and various platforms. Supposedly collectors, but in reality, all they're doing is buying up collections and selling them for a profit. I think that's becoming more and more easy for people to do as time goes by. So that's probably another reason why there's lack of stock as well. I was going to have a look at an Aerocoin today, but we've been going for enough time now, so we might just wind it up there. Catherine and I will be closing the shop down between Christmas and New Year. We're not sure of the dates of when that will be, but please be aware of that if you are in Adelaide, that we will be shut between Christmas and New Year, perhaps for a few days into the New Year as well. December releases are happening. I don't think there'll be any releases in January from what I understand. That's from the Royal Australian Mint. And hopefully next year, all of the coin shows will be back on. South Australia opens up tomorrow. So we'll no doubt have a couple of months of shenanigans here, but once all that settles down, there'll be coin shows back on around the country. Catherine and I will start travelling again. Are we coming to Melbourne, says Peter? I don't think so, Peter. We're a bit gun shy with travel at the moment because of all the cancelled flights and things like that we've had in the last 18 months. We're just going to wait until things calm down, and then we'll think about travelling again. All right, everyone, have a great week. Please stay safe, stay healthy, happy collecting. As always, looking for topics on for these videos. Always happy to answer questions, big or small. It doesn't have to be a 10-minute topic. It could just be a couple of minutes. So please send through any suggestions that you've got. Ash, any idea when we're getting some more 2x2 pages? No one's got any. It's the supplies of plastic products at the moment are diabolical. We can't get any banknote pages, we can't get any banknote holders, we can't get any coin pages, we can't get anything. So my guess is as good as yours. We've got a little bit of stock left here in the shop, but that's it. We've got nothing else. All right, Wayne, why are $2 coins more collectible? Don't know. Great topic, though. We might have a look at that one. See you, Mike. See you, Ben. See you, Greg. Everyone take care. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.